Welcome to Grace Abounds. I'm Pastor Emily Baton. Today, I will be sharing with you my Sunday sermons from St. John's Lutheran Church in Palm Desert, California. Thank you for joining us, and may you find grace, peace, and comfort in the message today. The story of Abraham and Sarah is an old story, a great story. It has been told for generations upon generations, spoken and sung, written and read. It speaks of some of the earliest of God's people. One of my favorite creative tellings of these ancient stories comes from a set of Sunday school lessons called Godly Play. It is told with simple props of sand, fabric, and wooden figures, and it focuses on the base elements of the story: the environment of the desert, the migratory nature of the people, and their connection to God. You know what? I think I'm going to show you instead. I have a story to tell. And since all of you don't usually get to see the Sunday school and children's sermon, I thought I would give you an opportunity to be a part of it, as we are all children of God. So, let me tell you a story that was told over and over again long ago. Long ago, there was a place that was full of sand. Sand and wind, and the landscape moved through it. In this place of sand and wind, there was a city with many people. These people believed in many gods. Gods of rocks and trees, gods in the sky and in the land. But there was a particular family, a family who part of was named Abram and Sarai. Abram and Sarai's God was a God in everything. And the two of them lived and were happy amongst God. And sometimes Abram would go out into the desert. And in the desert, he would look at the sky, and God would come close to Abram, and Abram would come close to God. And God told Abram that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the grains of sand in the desert. And Abram laughed. But God told Abram that he would have a new name, Abraham, and his wife Sarai would now be Sarah. But God also told them that it was time to move from the city. And so they took a long journey in the desert. They were not sure if God would be in the new place, but they had faith. And when they entered the new place, they put up their tents, and God came close to Abram, and Abram came close to God, and they were happy. And in this place, one day came strangers along the way. And Abraham welcomed these strangers. And Sarah baked them bread, and they were happy together. These strangers told Abraham that Sarah was to have a child. And this time, it was Sarah who laughed. But God came close to Abraham, and Abraham came close to God, and Sarah had a child, a son, who they would name Isaac, which means laughter. The end. Thank you. Now there is more to this story. An ancient story told and retold in so many ways. But there's something extremely special about the particular line that repeats. The line when God comes close to Abraham and Abraham comes close to God. That when Abraham sees these travelers, he can feel God's presence as he had done so many times before. The Lord walked into Abraham's tent, ate bread, and washed their feet at the tent. Abraham is no stranger to visits from the Lord. As we saw the covenant made to Abraham of his descendants, telling them of his firstborn son. But it was Sarah who laughed that second time. In her dismay, which is understandable, sometimes it's easier and far more plausible to believe in the miracle that will never come. And yet, people are still chosen. They were still chosen. The Lord of heaven and earth does the implausible all the time. Brought life into being with one word. Makes the ordinary extraordinary. No person of the Trinity showcases this better than Jesus. Another ancient story. Jesus, the chosen one. As we heard in our reading from Colossians, Jesus walked this earth and yet was also a part of its creation and will be there when all things are made new. And all of this is happening simultaneously in the person of Christ. It's a lot to take in who Jesus is. And when I was very young, probably 5 or so, I wanted to know who Jesus was. And being the theologians that my parents are, they gave me this answer. Jesus is the proleptic eschatological consummation of God's future. It became a game in our family for me to memorize these words and a party trick for my parents to ask 5-year-old me, who is Jesus? And I would answer, Jesus is the proleptic eschatological consummation of God's future. Did I know what it meant? Not a chance. But I felt that it was important. And later I would go on to seminary to learn even longer words to explain this definition. But what I'd rather show you is an image that sums up who Jesus is for me. If you have a keen eye, you will notice that this image may look familiar. That is because it is the front cover of the folder that I use every Sunday. I like to call this cosmic Jesus. God's future promise of salvation present from creation. While being with us here and now, Jesus is with us through every season, which is all a long phrase really means. All those words mean that Jesus is with us always. Jesus of the cosmos meets us in the ordinary. because God came so close to the people, and the people came so close to God. So close, in fact, that thousands of years after the Lord praised Abraham and passed him in his tent, God walked into Martha's house. And what would it have been like if God of the cosmos was sitting at your dinner table? Mary, obviously enraptured as she remains transfixed at Jesus' feet. But Martha is caught in the ordinary. And Jesus meets her in her ordinary, the hospitality of her ancestors. And yet, Martha missed the extraordinary truth of Jesus. Mary chose the better part, the chosen one at the center of her universe, and Jesus came so close to Mary, and Martha came so close to Jesus. The tasks of life that must be done and keep us endlessly distracted, those that Martha saw and couldn't keep out of her mind. Did I leave the oven on? When are the taxes due? What do I need for this next project? Or maybe will the train fit in the sanctuary? Maybe that one's just me. But Jesus meets us in our distracted worry and dismayed laughter, just as he did for Martha and Sarah. And there is a place where you need not worry, because the task is not ours. Salvation rests at Jesus' feet. The God of the cosmos will make all things new. Have faith that this is true, because faith is grasping the hand that first grasped us, because the chosen one chose you. And God came so close to you, and you came so close to God. Amen. Thank you for listening. Each week's episode is edited by Nick Cox with music by St. John's Worship Band. This week's sermon is by me, Pastor Emily Baton. Make sure to subscribe, and if you would like to know more about St. John's mission to know Christ and make Christ known, please visit our website at stjohnslutheran.church. May God be with you this day.